What if I told you that one of the most significant and silent revolutions happening inside a woman's body doesn't involve just her hormones, but her mind? That the very center of her thoughts, emotions, and even her sense of self can begin to shift and sometimes feel like it's falling apart, without anyone around her fully understanding what she's going through. Menopause is often talked about in whispers, in medical terms, in brief side conversations, or in passing jokes. But the reality is far deeper and more intimate than most realize. It's not just about hot flashes or irregular periods. For millions of women across the world, especially those over 45, it can feel like waking up in a body you no longer recognize, with a brain that no longer listens, and emotions that rise and fall without warning. It is a silent battle, fought daily in the mind, often hidden behind smiles, responsibilities, and the pressure to just carry on. In the first 30 to 40 seconds of experiencing these changes, many women describe feeling something unsettling, like their thoughts are not as sharp, their memory is starting to slip, and emotions once manageable now feel unpredictable. One day, they wake up feeling invincible. The next, they're in tears over a memory or a song on the radio. This is not weakness. This is not overreaction. This is the brain responding to an immense biological shift. During menopause, estrogen, a hormone deeply connected to brain function, drops significantly. This decline doesn't just affect reproductive health. Estrogen plays a vital role in how the brain processes emotion, regulates mood, and stores memory. And when it suddenly disappears or declines, women can feel like their minds are unraveling. In a groundbreaking study published by Dr. Lisa Mosconi, a neuroscientist at Weill Cornell Medicine, brain scans showed clear evidence that women's brains literally change during menopause. Areas responsible for memory, attention, and emotion undergo transformation as estrogen levels fall. Her research confirmed what women have felt for generations but couldn't prove. Menopause doesn't just happen in the ovaries, it happens in the brain. This evidence is critical because it validates the lived experiences of millions of women who've been told, "It's all in your head." The truth is, yes, it is in their head, but not in the way dismissive remarks suggest. It's real, it's chemical, it's neurological, and it's deeply human. Take the story of Maria, a 52-year-old mother of two from Italy. For years she had managed a busy home and a small bakery with skill and love. But as she approached menopause, Maria noticed something change. She began forgetting appointments, misplacing recipes she had used for decades, and at times felt overwhelmed by the simple task of choosing what to cook. She described a fog she couldn't escape, a cloudiness in her thoughts that dimmed the light of who she used to be. Her family noticed she was more emotional, more anxious, and at times withdrawn. At first, she thought she was losing her mind. But after speaking with her doctor and learning about menopausal brain fog, she felt both relief and frustration. Relief that she wasn't alone, and frustration that no one had warned her. What makes menopause so difficult is not just the symptoms themselves, it's the isolation. In societies across the United States, Canada, the UK, Germany, France, Australia, and many other parts of the world, women are expected to be strong, resilient, and emotionally stable, especially as they age. But menopause often brings internal chaos, even when everything on the outside seems fine. Imagine dealing with mood swings, anxiety, sleep deprivation, and memory lapses, all while trying to maintain your job, relationships, and family life. For many women, this feels like an invisible war, and yet they fight it every day with remarkable grace. If you've made it this far in the video, please take a moment to subscribe to Elderly Health Path, a space where we honor the truth, the science, and the stories of real people like you. By subscribing, you're not just supporting educational health content, you're standing with a community that listens, understands, and empowers. Let's take a moment to understand why mood swings are so prevalent during menopause. As estrogen declines, so does the regulation of key neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, the brain's natural mood stabilizers. This disruption leads to irritability, sudden sadness, panic attacks, and even feelings of hopelessness. in some cases. These emotional changes can be misdiagnosed as depression or anxiety disorders, especially in women with no previous history of mental health issues. In reality, these are symptoms of a natural biological transition, but one that desperately needs compassion and awareness. And it's not just emotions. Some women experience what researchers call executive dysfunction, difficulty focusing, organizing thoughts or completing tasks. One might start reading a book and forget what the previous page said, or walk into a room and not remember why. In cultures that prize productivity and perfection, this can lead to feelings of shame or inadequacy. But let us be clear, this is not failure. This is menopause, and it deserves understanding, not judgment. You are not alone in this. In fact, according to the North American Menopause Society, over 6,000 women enter menopause every single day in the United States alone. Across Europe, the numbers are similar, yet most suffer in silence. That silence ends here. By shedding light on what's happening in the mind during menopause, we create space for healing, for dialogue, and for women to reclaim control over their mental and emotional well-being. To all the viewers watching, if you have a mother, a wife, a sister, or a friend who may be going through this, talk to her. Ask how she's doing. Let her know she's not imagining things. Your kindness might be the lifeline she needs, and to all the courageous women experiencing this journey firsthand, your strength is not measured by how silent you stay, but by how willing you are to seek truth, ask for help, and embrace this new chapter of life with wisdom and dignity. There is no shame in change. There is only power in understanding it. Stay with us, because in the upcoming part of this video, we'll explore ways to ease these symptoms, from scientifically backed lifestyle changes to the most effective mental health practices recommended by doctors around the world. Subscribe to Elderly Health Path and tap the bell icon so you don't miss the next chapter in this conversation that truly matters. It's important to understand that menopause does not happen overnight. It is a gradual transition that can span several years, and during that time, a woman's brain chemistry, hormone balance, and emotional state are in constant flux. For some, it begins with small changes, trouble sleeping, slightly more irritability, or moments of mental fog that seem like stress or forgetfulness. But over time, these small shifts can grow into a storm that impacts relationships, self-confidence, and even identity. Many women say they don't feel like themselves anymore. And it's heartbreaking, not just because of the struggle itself, but because society doesn't prepare them for it or offer support in meaningful ways. Consider the story of Helen, a 54-year-old school teacher from the United Kingdom. She had always been proud of her sharp memory and ability to multitask under pressure. But in the last year, she started experiencing intense anxiety before work, something she'd never known before. She began forgetting students' names, missing deadlines, and panicking over tasks that once felt routine. One morning, she sat in her car in the school parking lot, paralyzed by a wave of panic and confusion. Tears streamed down her face and she whispered to herself, "What is happening to me?" It was not until she visited her physician and had a thorough conversation that she realized she was in the thick of menopause, and what she was experiencing wasn't weakness or failure. It was a neurological and hormonal transformation that needed to be acknowledged, managed, and respected. This emotional turbulence is deeply tied to biological events happening in the brain. During menopause, the hippocampus, the region responsible for memory and learning, undergoes changes. The prefrontal cortex, which controls decision-making and emotional regulation, also becomes sensitive to hormonal shifts. Researchers at Harvard Medical School have found links between declining estrogen levels and changes in cognitive function, even in healthy, highly educated women. These findings are not meant to cause fear, but to create awareness and remove the stigma around brain fog or mood swings. It's not just in your head, as many women are unfairly told. It's in your brain, and it's supported by solid science. Even so, emotional health during menopause isn't just about neurotransmitters or brain scans. It's about how these changes feel. One of the most commonly reported experiences is a loss of emotional resilience. Things that once rolled off your back now sit heavily on your chest. A minor disagreement can leave you devastated. Many women describe crying more often and not knowing why, feeling easily overwhelmed, or withdrawing from social situations because they feel too emotionally fragile to cope. It can feel like standing at the edge of a cliff emotionally, with little warning before a wave of sadness or anger sweeps over you. Despite these internal struggles, most women continue to fulfill their responsibilities. They go to work, raise children, care for aging parents, and manage households. But all the while, many are internally screaming for rest, for understanding, for someone to just ask, "How are you really feeling?" And perhaps even more tragically, many women don't ask for help because they don't want to be seen as weak or overdramatic. They feel they must suffer in silence, believing that this is just part of being a woman. Let us be clear, suffering in silence is not strength. It is a burden that women have carried for far too long. But awareness is growing, and conversations like this are helping change the narrative. There are tools, therapies, and lifestyle choices that can make an enormous difference. Many physicians now recommend combining hormonal therapies with cognitive behavioral strategies, mindfulness practices, and gentle physical activity like yoga or walking. These aren't just casual suggestions, they are scientifically backed. Interventions proven to enhance mood, memory, and emotional resilience during menopause. Take, for example, Dr. Mary Tagliaferri, an integrative medicine expert from California, who often says that women going through menopause should treat themselves with the same care and compassion they would offer a friend in pain. Her approach combines modern medicine with holistic support, emphasizing that mental health is just as critical as physical symptoms. In her clinic, she's seen hundreds of women who enter feeling lost, emotionally exhausted, and confused. But with personalized care plans that address both hormone balance and emotional well-being, many emerge feeling hopeful and whole again. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen, and that's what matters most. The mental load of menopause is not only biological, it's also deeply social. Women are often in the busiest, most demanding phase of life when menopause begins. They're leaders in the workplace, caregivers at home, and mentors in their communities. When emotional changes hit, they often don't have the luxury of stepping back or taking time off. Instead, they mask their symptoms and push through, while the pressure quietly drains them. And unfortunately, mental health resources specifically tailored for menopausal women remain limited in many countries, including parts of the US and Europe. This is why community matters. It's why platforms like Elderly Health Path are essential. If you haven't already, we kindly invite you to subscribe and become part of a movement that supports health, education, and empowerment for older adults. Every video we create is rooted in evidence and made with deep respect for your journey. Your voice deserves to be heard, your experience deserves to be validated, and your health deserves to be protected. Beyond the emotional and cognitive symptoms, many women also face unexpected shifts in identity during menopause. When society defines so much of a woman's worth through her youth, beauty, and fertility, the onset of menopause can trigger feelings of loss or invisibility. This emotional layer, though rarely discussed, is incredibly impactful. Women may begin to question their value, their attractiveness, and their purpose, especially if they feel disconnected from their partners, children, or social circles. These feelings are real and deserve empathy, not dismissal. But here's the truth that often gets overlooked. Menopause is not the end of something. It is the beginning of a new kind of wisdom. A time when the body shifts, yes, but also a time when women can begin to put themselves first. When the fog lifts, many women report feeling clearer, stronger, and more self-aware than ever before. They become more assertive, less willing to tolerate nonsense, and more determined to live authentically. This transformation, while difficult, is not a fall, but a rising. And to all the women watching this who feel like they're drowning in confusion or sadness, hold on. This is a phase. It is not who you are. You are not broken and you are not alone. Talk to your doctor, connect with others, and most importantly, be gentle with yourself. Healing and clarity come step by step. Stay with us, because in the final part of this video, we'll explore proven coping strategies, natural supports, and tips from psychologists and neurologists that can help you feel like yourself again. Don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Health Path, because your journey matters, and we'll be here every step of the way. While the emotional and mental toll of menopause can feel isolating and heavy, it's crucial to remember that this chapter of life is not a dead end, it's a crossroads. And what lies beyond it can be a time of incredible personal transformation, rediscovery and strength. But to reach that place, the journey must first be understood, accepted and supported, not just by doctors or researchers, but by family, society, and most importantly, by the women themselves. Let's go deeper into the neurochemical landscape of menopause. Estrogen doesn't only help with fertility or monthly cycles, it plays a protective role in brain health. It supports the production and balance of neurotransmitters like serotonin, which regulates mood and prevents depression, and dopamine, which is connected to motivation and pleasure. When estrogen levels fall, these chemicals become imbalanced, leading to symptoms that may include irritability, sadness, lack of motivation, and even feelings of disconnection from oneself or others. These changes are not a reflection of weakness. They are biochemical realities that influence the mind in powerful, sometimes frightening ways. Imagine waking up and not feeling like yourself anymore, not recognizing your emotional reactions, not trusting your memory, or feeling alienated from your own body. That's what many women report during menopause. It's as though the person they used to be has quietly faded, and in her place stands someone unfamiliar. The frustration of this identity shift is compounded when the world expects them to carry on as if nothing has changed. But everything has changed. Inside, quietly, profoundly. Sleep disturbances are one of the most overlooked causes of mental distress during menopause. With hormonal shifts, many women find it difficult to fall asleep or stay asleep through the night. Chronic insomnia or interrupted rest can lead to mood instability, memory issues, and even heightened risk of depression and anxiety. Sleep is the body's natural reset button. Without it, the brain cannot function optimally, emotions become volatile, and daily functioning becomes a challenge. Yet, society continues to dismiss these concerns as just part of aging, leaving women to battle exhaustion in silence. There are also cultural layers to this experience. In countries like France and Germany, where open discussions about aging and mental health are still developing, many women feel ashamed to admit they're struggling. In places like Canada, the US and Australia, support groups and online forums are growing, but stigma remains. Menopause is often misunderstood as just the end of menstruation. Rarely is it viewed as a neurological and psychological transition that deserves medical attention and emotional care. When women from different backgrounds unite to share their experiences, they realize that although symptoms vary, the emotional battle is shared. And with that shared struggle comes strength, validation, and community. Take, for instance, Sophia, a 49-year-old business executive from Berlin. Known for her sharp intellect and calm leadership, she suddenly began experiencing bouts of rage and unexplained panic. She said, "It felt like a storm was living inside me, and I couldn't find shelter." After months of confusion and fear, a visit to a hormone specialist helped her understand what was happening inside her brain. She began treatment, incorporated yoga and deep breathing exercises into her routine, and joined a local menopause support circle. It didn't erase her symptoms overnight, but for the first time she didn't feel broken, she felt heard, and that changed everything. The emotional effects of menopause also extend into relationships. Many women report that their connections with spouses, children, or close friends begin to suffer. They may become less patient, more distant, or more sensitive than usual. These shifts often lead to misunderstandings, arguments, and a sense of loneliness. Partners may not understand why the woman they've known for decades suddenly seems different. Open communication, education, and shared empathy are key to preserving emotional closeness during this time. When both partners are aware of the changes and willing to walk through them together, menopause becomes less of a wall and more of a bridge, a chance to rediscover intimacy and trust in a new form. It's also important to speak about the link between menopause and long-term mental health. While many symptoms are temporary, lasting only through the transition phase. Some can linger if not addressed. The risk of depression doubles during the perimenopausal stage, and for women with a history of mood disorders, the risk is even higher. This is why early intervention is so crucial. Mental health screenings during routine checkups can be life-saving. Yet too often, these screenings are not offered unless a woman speaks up, and many don't, out of fear of being judged. The good news is modern science is catching up. Therapies are evolving. Menopausal hormone therapy, MHT, also known as HRT, has been shown in multiple studies to improve mood, reduce anxiety, and enhance cognitive clarity in many women. But it's not for everyone. Natural supplements like black cohosh, magnesium, and omega-3s also show promise in some clinical trials, particularly in combination with mental wellness practices. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, has emerged as one of the most effective non-drug approaches for managing menopause-related emotional symptoms. It teaches women to reframe negative thoughts, manage anxiety, and build emotional resilience, all without changing their hormones. Simple daily practices can also bring profound relief. Regular aerobic exercise boosts endorphins and supports brain health. Mindfulness and meditation calm the stress centers of the brain and re-establish emotional balance. Even journaling has been shown to reduce cortisol levels and improve emotional clarity. The key is consistency and self-compassion, recognizing that healing takes time, and there is no shame in slowing down to care for oneself. But more than any treatment, what women need most is to be believed, to have someone look them in the eye and say, "I understand, you're not going crazy, you're transitioning." This validation is powerful. It turns confusion into clarity, pain into strength, and silence into conversation. If you're watching this video and you felt like your emotions are not your own, like your thoughts have betrayed you, or like you're fighting a war no one else can see, know this: you are not alone. This is not the end of your story. In many ways, it's the beginning of a wiser, deeper, and more empowered chapter. So please, if you found even a small moment of comfort in this message, take a second to subscribe to Elderly Health Path. Your health journey deserves a space where your experiences are validated and your questions are answered with respect and compassion. We are here for you, not just with videos, but with truth, hope, and healing. As we close this video, remember, menopause may affect your mind, but it does not define it. You are more than your hormones. You are your resilience, your compassion, your laughter, your courage. This stage is not a curse, it's an awakening, and you, dear viewer, are strong enough to meet it with grace.